As I'm sure you all know, Gardner Minshew was named the starting quarterback by Antonio Pierce after he, Luke Getsy, and Tom Telesco sat down and talked through everything they had seen throughout OTAs, training camp, and the preseason. So I'll be the first person to tell you that I was dead wrong in my prediction. I truly thought that Aidan O'Connell was going to be the starting quarterback in week 1. Now obviously I'm not there for OTAs and training camp, so I can't speak on what happens there. But in the preseason, which I know is super vanilla, O'Connell looked like the better quarterback to me. I thought he looked more comfortable in the pocket and showed more ability to throw with anticipation. I also thought he did a better job in terms of knowing where to go with the football pre-snap and throwing the ball into tight windows. And I thought he just looked overall better and more comfortable in the offense in general. Really quick guys, if you have been enjoying the content, please give the video a like as it helps the video reach other Raiders fans. Also, comment down below who you thought was going to win the starting job and who you think deserved the starting job based off of what you saw. Let's get back to the video. So, with everything I just said, Minshew did get the starting nod, so he must have shown the coaching staff something, right? Last season, he was close to leading the Colts to the playoffs, but that was in an offense that really catered to him. Shane Steichen has proven to be a really good play caller and someone that can really adapt to his players. I really hope that Getsy does a good job adapting to the strengths of Gardner Minshew. Minshew really excelled in the RPO and quick hitting style of Shane Steichen's offense. In terms of the second preseason game, neither quarterback looked very sharp at all. You don't need to be an analyst to see that, right? O'Connell threw a pick 6 and Minshew had a pick 6 dropped, as well as another 1 or 2 passes that could have been intercepted. I did think O'Connell looked better before that pick 6 by completing a couple good accurate short passes, but he didn't really do anything spectacular either. Antonio Pierce said that they went with the quarterback that they thought would give them the best chance to quote-unquote start fast, but he's also been big on prioritizing ball security. I don't know that O'Connell or Minshew are great at that, but I did think O'Connell would have a slight edge there. Regardless of that, Minshew is the starting quarterback, so let's talk a little bit about his strengths. He does usually have pretty good accuracy in the short and intermediate game, even if he didn't necessarily show that in the preseason game. He does have a long history of being solid there. He also possesses more playmaking ability in terms of using his legs than O'Connell does. Teams will also have to respect the fact that he can keep the ball himself when handing it off on zone reads. Minshew will also take chances with the ball that can sometimes lead to some highlight reel plays, and he isn't afraid to let it rip. Minshew will stand strong and isn't afraid to take hits in order to make a play. He doesn't have high-end arm talent or athleticism, and his aggressiveness can often lead to trouble at times as well. Minshew has a record of 15-22 as a starter, but really was never given a chance on some really bad Jaguars teams. If you throw out the season where they were basically tanking for Trevor, he's 500 as a starter, so that's where I see him. Not a guy that will elevate a very bad team, but someone that can win games with talent around him, which he definitely has here on both sides, offense and defense. If the defense plays to their potential, it will be extremely critical that Minshew knows his role and takes care of the football. With that being said, I will be fully behind Minshew this season, and I'm sure the rest of Raider Nation will too. I want nothing more than for him to succeed for the benefit of the team. Minshew is a strong leader and a good personality, and I'm sure the locker room will be fully behind the decision. At the end of the day, a starting quarterback needed to be named, and now the team can move forward with Minshew at the helm. Now let's talk a little bit about how Minshew could have success in this offense. Getsy is going to run a lot of wide zone. Now the play action off of that wide zone can get Minshew on the move and only reading one side of the field, which I think he can truly excel at. Now mix in some RPOs and quick hitters along with that play action, and I do think he can be solid in the offense. It will also be important that the Raiders are able to run the ball. Minshew has always played best with a strong rushing attack, as most quarterbacks do. I'd like to see some read option incorporated into this offense as it was towards the end of Getsy's stint in Chicago. I know Minshew isn't the athlete that Justin Fields is, but the threat of him keeping the ball on read options will keep edge defenders honest in the run game. You can also only run so much quick game without the threat of throwing it deep. That is an area where Minshew surprised me in the preseason. I thought he showed some pretty good touch and accuracy on his deep balls and showed a good connection with second-year receiver Trey Tucker. The area where I thought Minshew struggled the most in preseason was in true drop-back passing situations where he was asked to read the whole field. As I said earlier, this can be limited with a strong run game, RPOs, and play action off the wide zone runs. One thing that'll be interesting to keep an eye on is Minshew's connection with Davante Adams. Adams showed a lot of frustration last season, and rightfully so. He was missed way too often when he was wide open. More so by Jimmy Garoppolo than Aidan, but Aidan definitely left some throws on the field too. Jimmy G also threw his receivers into trouble by leading them into some big hits. He led Davante into huge hits against both Buffalo and New England off the top of my head last season. There were probably more than that too, but Minshew is no stranger to this either, which could be worrisome in terms of both the relationship between Minshew and Adams' health in general. There's no doubt that Minshew offers a higher ceiling than O'Connell, but also a lower floor. You're going to have high highs and low lows with Minshew, and that is something the coaching staff is going to have to live with. How they are able to mitigate his turnovers while keeping the exciting big plays alive is going to be absolutely critical for Pierce and the offensive coaches. I don't think that Minshew or O'Connell starting changes the Raiders' record at the end of the season and won't really affect any of my predictions for the team. At the end of the day, Minshew is a quarterback who has a career 62.6% completion percentage and a ratio of 59 touchdowns to 24 interceptions. That's not bad at all, especially for someone frequently marked as careless with the football. So to sum that up, I was completely wrong about the direction the Raiders went at quarterback. I definitely thought that Aidan had the job after watching the preseason performance of both quarterbacks. But preseason is preseason, and a lot more went into the decision on how the quarterbacks played in those games. In my opinion, in order for Minshew to excel in the offense, there's going to need to be a successful run game, a lot of play action where Minshew can be on the move, and a good mix of RPOs that Minshew excelled at last year. I did just want to talk a little bit about Tyree Wilson quick before I end the video. I was extremely disappointed with what I saw the first 2 weeks of the preseason. All the issues that plagued him last year have not been improved whatsoever. His get-off is still the slowest I've seen in a long time. Watch closely and you'll see that he is always the last guy off the line of scrimmage. Tyree Wilson was in the game with second and third string players in the Cowboys game, some of whom may not even make an NFL roster, and was basically invisible among these players. You would really hope that a 7th overall pick with a year of experience under his belt would stand out, but that was not the case at all. Just look at the first preseason game against the Vikings. Dallas Turner was extremely disruptive versus Andres Pete. Now Pete is a backup tackle, but that's exactly my point. Players drafted that high and with that much potential should be able to beat up on backup tackles, especially in their second year. What concerns me the most with Wilson, aside from his slow get-off and lack of pass rush moves, is his slow processor. Wilson seems to take an extremely long time to diagnose whether a play is a run or a pass. And he's easily fooled by jet motions and play-action fakes. This is something that I noticed watching him at Texas Tech, but it's been extremely apparent in the NFL. The fact that he hasn't developed a single pass rush move the entire offseason is insane to me. He's still just bull rushing guys on every single pass rush snap. That's simply not going to work in the NFL. The Raiders have a really good defensive line coach in Rob Leonard, and obviously a great defensive coordinator in Patrick Graham, so I trust that these guys will get the most out of Wilson, whatever that may be. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Sorry for the somewhat negative tone of this video. I think I was just really disappointed at how the quarterback battle went overall, and how no one really stepped up and took the job. And then with Wilson, it just looks like he showed no development from year 1 to year 2. If you want me to do a film review of his play in the preseason so you can see what I'm talking about, just let me know in the comments. And guys, once the regular season starts, there'll be a lot more to talk about and a lot more content on the channel. Once again, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please give it a like, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.